I'm Adrienne, and welcome back to Dessert Devotion. I can't wait to share with you a brand new devotional. But first, we'll start with our dessert. It's a back to basics, easy 2-ingredient recipe. It's a chocolate ricotta mousse. We're going to start our mousse with 1 cup of chocolate chips that I'm going to melt in the microwave at 30-second increments until it's nice and melty and smooth. Then I'm going to pour it into a blender with 15 ounces of ricotta cheese. After blending this on high, that's it, y'all. That's the recipe. I'm going to pour my mousse into 4 serving glasses. I like to cover mine with saran wrap. My fridge is a little chaotic at times, and I'm going to let them chill for about an hour. Okay, now that our chocolate mousse is in the fridge, let's settle in for our devotion. Now, sometimes I think it's good to go back to the basics, don't you? I've noticed, for example, that now that my kids are back in school, that first week or so, the teachers did a lot of review with them. They even did some assessments. And I know it's because before they go forward, they want to know if they have those basic building blocks that they can build on, right, for the rest of the year. So when it comes to our spiritual life, it's really the same thing. Sometimes it's good to get back to the basics and to look at those building blocks of what's important to our spiritual growth and kind of assess, how are we doing, right? Kind of like that beginning of the school year. Where are we? How strong are our basics? Like prayer and devotion. But today, I want to talk to you about worship. When I think about worship, I think about kind of our individual worship where we wake up, we give God praise for what we're seeing in our lives, we give God thanks, we might even break into song. But I also think about that communal worship. So I want to read to you Psalm 100, where it reads, "Make a joyful noise to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come into his presence with singing. Know that the Lord is God. It is he that made us, and we are his. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him. Bless his name. For the Lord is good. His steadfast love endures forever, and his faithfulness to all generations." I get 2 images there, y'all. The first image I get is just imagining just giving that thanks and praise every single day, just lifting joyful noise, maybe even breaking into your own song during your time of devotional each day. Just being so careful to give God thanks where God has just been there for us, been our helper, our sustainer every step of the way. But I also have this image of the community going into a place of worship together, and that part is so important. Now I know, as a pastor, I will often hear people say, I don't need to worship with a group. I can do that on my own, right? I don't need to go to church, for example, to be a believer in Jesus Christ. Okay, that is true. But let me ask you to consider this, okay? The founder of Methodism, John Wesley, would call worship a means of grace. In other words, when you attend a worship service, when you enter into that house, into that sanctuary, it is an opportunity for you to encounter all over again the grace and the love of God, just being in that space. Just think about when you hear the music, when you hear the sermon, when you participate in the liturgy, when you sing those hymns together with other believers. There's something about that place of worship that is going to offer extra blessing for you. It's going to offer a blessing for the ones around you as you communicate, as you kind of worship together. It's an opportunity for you to encounter the divine. And when you don't go, you miss out on that. The other thing John Wesley will talk about is simply being in holy conversation with other believers is also a means of grace. So when you are in that sanctuary, when you make the time to bring yourself, to bring your household into a place of worship, being in that connection with other believers strengthens your spiritual life. It strengthens your faith walk, because those conversations are also a means of experiencing God's grace, God's love, God's mercy all over again. In that way, just being around others of that faith is an opportunity to be encouraged and blessed by them. And you can also do your part to bless and encourage other believers with the things that you have seen and witnessed God doing in your life. So just like this chocolate mousse recipe kind of gets back to the basics, y'all, it's just 2 ingredients. Sometimes for us as believers, it's not that complicated. Let's just get back to the basics, y'all. How are we doing? Let's assess where we are with the basic building blocks of our faith journey. And one of those is worship. I want to top my mousse with some homemade whipped cream. So I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar to a cup of whipping cream. And I'm going to mix it with my hand mixer on high until I see these nice waves or peaks in the whipped cream. I'll keep my mousse and my whipped cream in the fridge until I'm ready to serve. 2 ingredients is all you need. It's back to the basics, y'all. Thanks for joining me, and check out my website for more dessert devotions.